As you know, I managed to sell the Crimson Fists to a fellow that lives kind of a few states away from me. Dmitry Baron, or Baron, or it's a cool name. His name is Dmitry. That just sounds kick-ass. Alright, so anyway, what ended up happening is I sold him the army. He was like, I'll pay right now. So he sent me the money over PayPal. I was like, alright, let me get this mailed out to you. I'm going to try and mail out today. We're going to see how that goes. Now, he's got a tournament upcoming. He's kind of nervous for it a little bit. Sorry, Dmitry, but whatever. Yeah, so he was kind of like, I don't know about this. We'll have to see how this goes. I'm not sure if it's going to get there in time. It should be, 3-day shipping. It should get to over the weekend. Depends on what they're doing on Sunday. But, here we go. So, let's go over the list, and I'm going to tell you not just about the list, but I'm going to tell you how to use some certain things. Now, Pedro Cantor, he's Pedro. Anyway, he's a character. He's got a few wounds. He's got a power fist with a few attacks. He's not great in combat, but the power fist thing means you can crunch other characters or monstrous creatures, but he's like okay. He's not like a combat beast. So don't, charge him at like Karn the Betrayer, like any really, really like super powerful hero. He's just, I think of him as a glorified sergeant. He just kind of sits in there and he's like a power fist sergeant to the one squad that doesn't have a sergeant for the Stern Guard. So he goes in the Stern Guard squad without the power sword guy. He's got a Dorn's Arrow, which is a Storm Bolter that I think is Strength 5 AP 4. It's a pretty nice Storm Bolter. It's like Assault 4, so you just roll a bunch of dice. It just shoots extra dice. It's not bad. The big thing Pedro has, I almost called him Dorn. He's got a 12-inch aura that goes, everyone in 12 inches gets +1 attack in combat. Now, when you're in a vehicle, it goes off from the vehicle. So if I'm in the Rhino, it goes from the edge of the Rhino 12 inches all the way around. That's how big the aura is. So if he's sitting in a Rhino and you got a squad out front fighting some like Tyranids or whatever, they're getting the +1 attack from him when he's inside, which is actually nice. Normally, Space Marine armies have combat tactics, which means you could split up the squads. You lose that rule playing Crimson Fist because Pedro replaces combat tactics with Stubborn, the universal rule Stubborn. So your guys aren't gonna, flee and stuff, which is actually nice. I don't really have the army set up, so you're splitting up in 2 5-man squads anyway. Probably could have did that, but it's all like 8 or 7-man squads is how this army works. And Pedro, he's not Eternal Warrior, so he can get killed by Strength 8 stuff, so try not to allocate wounds to him. Like, oh look, they shot a battle cannon at me. Let me put a invulnerable save, because Pedro has a 4-up invuln because of Iron Halo. Don't be like, I'll take an invuln on Pedro from that Melta shot or that battle cannon, because he might actually die. You don't want to do that. So he's only toughness 4, no Eternal Warrior. It's kind of nasty. He's on a big base, which is completely tournament legal. You can always go bigger, you cannot go smaller. And he also makes Stern Guard count as troops. So that pretty much means that all your they don't slot into troops, they slot into elite when you're making your army, but they count as troops in terms of scoring. So Stern Guard can have objectives. That gives you 5 scoring units instead of 3. Alright, let's talk about the Librarian. Now, if you pop open your Space Marine Codex, you can have any powers you want, but the one I use is Avenger, which is that real nice, I think it's Strength 5 AP3 Flamer template. It's very nice. You jump out, AP3 Flamer, you just go boom, there's like 5-6 Khorne Berserkers right there. Like, that's more effective than having like a whole bunch of plasma weapons, which you also have in the Stern Guard squads. Also, Null Zone is very nice against demons. That's 24 inches. You have to reroll past invuln saves for the enemies. So say they got some Bloodthirster with a 4-up invuln. It's like, oh look, you took 7 wounds from plasma. Oh look, you only did 3 wounds. Well, reroll those past ones. Oh look, you died. So that's pretty effective right there. He's got Psychic Hood. Just remember that. It's kind of random. You'll probably forget when you face Eldar. He's got Force Weapon. So you take a Psychic test, you might be able to instant kill things randomly. But otherwise, you're not great in combat. So he's just kind of throws in there, throws some power attacks in. For troops, you got your Tactical Squad, which it has a Heavy Bolter, mainly because a Heavy Bolter looks cool. It's kind of worthless. You might want to switch it out with like one of the Devastator guys or whatever. Who knows? But and a Plasma Gun and Rhino with extra armor. All the Rhinos always have extra armor, and remember they come with smoke launchers. Now, a lot of times I might jump this squad and leave them out of the Rhino and use that empty Rhino to block the Stern Guard Rhinos during deployment. Because if you're not going first, they're probably going to pop 1 or 2 of your Rhinos. So you got to play it right. You gotta use cover and stuff. The Army's more like it can play a lot of defense. Offense is kind of tricky. Like when you got to run to their objective, as you can see in one of my battle reports, they can hold their line and they can beat the crap out of people when they come, like when you're coming to the stern guard. But they're not super great at let's run across the board and kill everyone. They're a lot of like, all right, your opponent's doing this, you counter it, and you just absolutely rip them up. Okay, so Power Fist in that squad as well. You always, in 5th edition right now, with the new tierings coming out, you want a Power Fist in every single Marine squad, pretty much, or some kind of high-strength weapon to just punch people. You need something to kill that. And Plasma Gun's always good when you're jumping out and rapid firing. But yeah, that's Tactical Squad. For other troops, you have 2 scouts with 5 sniper rifles and camo cloaks each. Comes out to like 75 points per 5-man squad. Literally, all these guys do is you can either infiltrate them, you can outflank them for some odd reason if you really want to do, but a lot of times they do a lot of just standing there on an objective in cover because they have the +1 to cover save because of camo cloak. So if you're in 4-up, you have 3-up cover. You do a lot of standing on objectives with them. And like the sniper rifles, they shoot out, they got some long range, but mainly their whole point is just chill there and score objectives. But it's only 150 points to your army for 10 scouts, so that's fine. For elites, you got the many squads of Stern Guard, squad of 8, squad of 7. Each squad has a heavy flamer, which is pop out of Rhino, boom, heavy flamer is very nice, wipes the whole Gene Stealer squad. You got 3 combi plasma and 3 combi melta. Now, you jump out, don't use them all at once. I do a lot of like, oh look, shooting a Marine squad or shooting a Carnifex, I'll shoot the 3 combi plasma. I'm not going to waste the combi melta, or like, I'll do things where it'll be like, oh look, say you got I don't know, a vehicle, or you jump out, you waste the combi meltas, and then, the squad's out, maybe next turn you can combi plasma them. Like, unless you really need to kill something, like some kind of hive tyrant, don't blow all the weapons. But just remember, it's be like, alright, I'm going to use 2 combi plasmas. Just try and use what you think is going to kill them, because remember, you still have different types of ammunition, like the Kraken shells and the Hellfire rounds, which always wound on a 2+. So if you're shooting some monstrous creature, maybe pop a few combi plasmas, and then just do massive rapid fire of 2+2 wound bolters. One of the squads that has the Librarian has the Power Sword Sergeant. Literally, he's got like three attacks, I think, and then with Pedro in the aura, he's got 4 attacks with the Power Sword. He's also got Melta Bombs, and literally, he just throws in power attacks and kills Marines. Like, and he also just looks kick-ass as anything. There's a Dreadnought in there just to add a multi-melta, and he comes with smoke launchers and a storm bolter. But pretty much that Dreadnought, dirt cheap. I think he's 105 points. He just stands there and he's just like, I got a multi-melter. Your opponent's just going to shoot at him and he'll probably die a lot of times, but he's there to get shot and he's there to be a cool target. And for your Devastator squads, you can mix them up. So you can have 4 las cannons in one squad, and then like 2 plasma, 2 missiles. I like it set up so you get a bit of everything. Like I have 2 las, 1 missile, and then 1 plasma cannon. That's because, like, oh look, your 4 las cannon team, they died. Alright, now what? Like, I don't like to pilot all in one. Also, the 2 las cannons gives you chances to kind of hit up Land Raiders or Armor 14. But if you're going to shoot a tank, you're probably going to kill it with the missile will probably stun it. Las cannons might pen it. And the plasma cannon, if you want to say shoot Terminators or something, that's the plasma cannon just throws in that little template that's going to maybe just wipe a Terminator squad. That's very important. Yes, it does scatter, but you know what? And yes, it does kind of overheat here and there, but that drops on, that's nice. And yeah, it's Devastator squads are pretty nice. They're 8-man Devastator squads, so you get some extra bolter guys to die first before the heavy weapon guys. So it's fun stuff. Total, you have 53 models in the army, plus the 4 vehicles. You have 5 scoring units, and you have 13 kill points. 3 of those are dedicated transports. And that's pretty much the army. On comp scores, if the tournament's like, oh look, let's see how cheesy your army is, you'll probably score mid-tier, mainly because of all the combi weapons. They'll be like, I don't know about those combi weapons, man. So you're probably going to get like a 10 out of 20 if they do like comp scores. If they actually go by like the chart for comp scores, you have no fast attack, but pretty much you have everything else maxed. So you might get like a higher there. But otherwise, it's not a high tournament list. You can still duke it out with some of the higher up lists, but it's not like a bad list. Like, you can still kick ass with this. Pretty much, Dmitry. You play a few games. After 5 games, you're okay with the army. You're starting to feel it. 10 games, you're good with the army. 20 games, you get real confident. It's just, you just keep playing with it and keep playing with it. And, yeah, that's about it, man. So, enjoy the Crimson Fists.